So that's it, recording.
Here we are.
Look who it is.
In living colour this
Yes.
time as well. Normally we're reduced to, waves of sound.
So this is Luke.
Hi.
This is my Therapy Geek co-host, Luke.
Yes, Therapy Geek 2 or 1. You could be 1 and I could be A, so
Yeah.
we're both number technically first.
Yeah. So we're doing Children of the Revolution.
Yes.
This is my other little baby.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello, other babies.
Is it recorded? It's recorded.
It is recorded.
So.
Okay.
So basically, Children of the Revolution. I don't even know what episode it is. Luke McGibbon,
Yes.
you're the first male.
Oh, I better represent.
Yeah, you're the first meal, and I just thought, talk to you. Do you think we need a revolution?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I think there's a million little revolutions that need to happen, aren't there? Okay, so I yammer on about this all the time, but Northern Ireland is the PTSD capital of the world.
Yes.
And the amount of treatment that you can get for PTSD here is pretty shockingly low. So, for example, the most well-supported treatment for PTSD is something called EMDR. And that's a certain treatment discovered by, I can't remember the name of the guy, but he discovered that basically whenever you duplicate the eye movements that are done in REM sleep while telling a particularly traumatic story, it helps the brain process it.
Oh, wow.
Something called bilateral processing. So it's like he would hold a finger up to a client, get them to describe a traumatic thing, and just simply do this, make their eyes follow it as he said it. And what he believes that it does is that it stimulates both sides of the brain, left and right, and each time you do that you're helping it process a stuck memory, which is what trauma really is. It's like a stuck memory, and it's stuck in your body sometimes as well. It's all sorts of things. That's the theory. A lot of people aren't so sure about the bilateral processing theory because there's forms of EMDR that don't use eye movements that still seem to work. There's like little buzzers that people put behind their knee, or a light that you follow with your eyes, or a sound that you follow with your ears on each side. Either way, it's meant to be something that moves from left to right. Bessel van der Kolk, who's like the big dog on trauma, believes that EMDR works not because of bilateral processing, but because it allows you to stay mindful and in the moment during something that usually induces traumatic flashbacks. You relive something, and then because to retell a traumatic story you relive it, but if you do it while doing this, it's kind of keeping you in the room, it's keeping you in the moment. But yeah, sorry. Yes, that's EMDR.
Yes, but that's part of the revolution, is actually healing and recovering from the trauma.
Yes, complete. And so Northern Ireland, complete traumatic mess. It's a hot mess. And and so there's only 2 people in Northern Ireland that teach EMDR. Both of them, it's over £1,000. One of them is also a psychiatrist that Iris Robinson recommended for curing homosexuality. So I'm not mad keen on that fella.
No.
But yeah, so it's incredibly expensive for what I understand to be quite a short training. I think it's somewhere between like a week and 2 weeks, and it's incredibly expensive. And I would contend that in the PTSD capital of the world, training in one of the more evidence-backed treatments of PTSD should be pretty accessible.
Yes. So
this is when my little campaign comes in. Is this the one?
This is so important. Like, okay, so but what happens?
Yeah.
So this training is incredibly expensive.
Yes.
But what's cheap? What's actually free in this country?
Well.
Prescriptions.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Prescriptions are free while you want to help people in an alternative way, and it's made incredibly difficult.
Right, exactly. I mean, sorry.
No, well, so your little revolution is actually you found a way to get the training, and then what are your plans?
Well, I've actually, it's kind of a 2-pronged thing, because before I had a little lobbying campaign actually that I think's I'm sorry. Sometimes I'm still amused myself with this.
I love it.
So Northern Ireland doesn't have a government at the moment. It's got nothing. But we do have MPs, so MPs are working because the House of Commons is still open for business. So I sent a letter to every MP that we have in Northern Ireland, and saying basically about PTSD being rife in this place, EMDR and how it's not that accessible, but it is effective. And then I made a case monetarily saying that this is how much PTSD costs the public purse, this is how much it costs the NHS, this is how much it's going to cost people in sick days and productivity, stuff that is not top of my list, but it's stuff that if you're working in government you need incentive. So I wrote all that. But then this is my favourite bit. Whenever I sent a letter to a unionist politician, I said that intergenerational PTSD is probably a factor behind recruitment in Republican paramilitaries. And whenever I sent an email or a letter to a nationalist politician, I would say that intergenerational PTSD is probably behind a lot of recruitment in loyalist paramilitaries. I didn't get any replies back from any of the nationalist ones because nationalist MPs, Sinn Féin MPs don't sit in Westminster, so they probably don't even visit. I sent it to their Westminster offices, which in hindsight was stupid. They've probably not even seen it.
But we're flawed people.
We're flawed people.
We make mistakes.
But the DUP, right? I'm not a fan at all, really. But I credit where it's worth. They seemed really keen on it. I think they're adding it to their policy in the future, which I think could be very positive and helpful.
Well, I've been contacting a lot of MLAs and they've been really helpful.
Maybe I should get onto them as well. Even if they can't do anything, it's important that they. What I gather from it is that in terms lobbying, if something's important to you, send a letter to an official with what you think is the problem. Give them incentive, talking about what they could be losing with this. And give them a solution, and there's every chance that you might have some success, because at the end of the day they are there to work for you, even if you disagree with them fundamentally on everything they believe.
Yes, and actually the problem is we've got this is why we need Children of the Revolution too. I really do think we need to move beyond the current political parties that have been holding office for decades. It's not working. And I'm are we not they cannot agree on anything because of fear.
Yes, I think the trauma is behind a lot of voting habits.
Yes.
Particularly on the unionist side, there's so many people who would vote DUP, not because they agree with anything they say, but because they want a party who's going to be hard on Sinn Féin, who they see as people who've harmed them.
Yes.
And with some credibility, of course, if you've lived through the Troubles, why would you want someone who's associated with people who hurt you in government? But then, of course, on the other side of it, people vote Sinn Féin over, say, SDLP or something. Well, that's a bit more complicated, but people would vote Sinn Féin because they want someone who's going to be hard on the DUP, because they see the DUP as people who oppressed them during the Troubles as well.
Yes, but it's perpetuating and it's keeping this alive, and it's not fair on the young people.
Yeah, of course, or anyone. Nobody is benefiting from this except the people who are causing the problem. It's just absolutely ridiculous, isn't it? We've been without a government for nearly a year.
But what is it? Has it been okay? Have we been okay without them?
Surprisingly so.
So they've shown that they're not actually...
They've made it really clear their own uselessness. There's a stalemate now, but there was a stalemate when they were in government as well. It was pretty, not much was really getting done. There was certain governmental mechanisms that were put in as part of the Good Friday Agreement to ensure fairness that have actually worked against fairness. So, for example, the petition of concern basically means that anything that the DUP don't like, they can shoot out. So basically, it's just been there's not been any point in other parties, because the DUP have a complete grasp over the entire system. If there's something that 30 MLAs don't like, they can overrule 170, I think, MLAs. It's insane. It's a complete mess. And
it's just this is the legacy is continuing, and it's not. And I think this is why one of the reasons Children of the Revolution came up, because of a lot of the work I do in school. I'm it's so unfair.
Yeah.
it's so unfair what we're doing to young people. We're keeping the trauma alive.
Yeah.
We're keeping the segregation, the division, the divisiveness alive. And these people who are actually running the country are traumatised.
Completely. And they're voted in by the traumatised as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's just like, where's the hope?
Yeah.
Where's the hope while the same old stuff just recurs?
Yeah.
It just keeps coming back.
Yeah.
I am not interested in it anymore. And this is another thing I want to bring into you, if you don't mind. I'm not interested in the Catholic Protestant thing anymore.
No, I mean in the comedy aspect?
Comedy, it's just still too strong.
I think it's still there. I think it's complicated because okay, well, just for the clarity of the audience, we are comedians. Okay. I'm a
really
comedian.
Funny.
We are very funny. I'm a comedian. Louise was a comedian. She's free. She's free of comedy. She's escaped.
Yours was my favourite night.
What? Oh,
your night was my favourite.
Stop it. You're my favourite time.
Yes. So comedy.
Well, whenever I started, I felt very similarly. Like the only comedy I would have seen would have been in like The Empire, where I would have seen like say Jake O'Keefe, who's like incredibly skilled and brilliant comic, but a lot of it would have been about really what divides us, wouldn't it? It would have been about like I mean, there's a best audience interaction that so many of us do. I think I've been guilty of it sometimes. Is you want to talk to an audience member as a comic, and you go, "What's your name?" and they go like Billy, and you go, "Hope Protestant," big laugh every time, isn't that crazy? So like it's just little things. But so when I started, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna be different, man. And like as I went on, I was like, well, if you're different from that, what are you going to talk about instead? Well, like farts in your dick, it's
that's it.
It's fine to evolve from your country, but you need to evolve for yourself as well. And I don't think many of us have. But also, like whenever the flag protests happened in 2012, it suddenly became incredibly clear to me that and it should have been clear long before that, but the Troubles is not over for many people.
No.
There's a lot of people on both sides who still feel maybe oppressed, like, and not always rightly. Like sometimes equality can feel like oppression for people who have been in charge for a long time.
But do you not think that there's this feeling, like I don't feel it, but a lot of people who must be voting that way and living that way feel like it's constantly about to kick off, or it could kick off at any moment. And that's when you're living in a traumatized state. There's that perpetual fear that it's going to go back.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Now I don't believe that it is going to go back. But I don't think a lot of people they have that fear.
Yeah.
Particularly in the harder hit areas.
I think it's really there's an interesting idea that Jung had about pardon me. Well, so the collective unconscious is this. It's often described as this sort of almost mystical thing upon which archetypal ideas and roles are put into somebody's personal unconscious. But also there's the term collective unconscious, just meaning the general personality of a group. So if you go to like a comedy night, the audience has a collective unconscious in that the audience has a personality and it's different every week. Like what one audience loves one week the next audience may hate. So it's a room or any gathering has one personality made up of the collective little personalities that make up. So Northern Ireland as a country has a collective personality.
Yes.
And if you try and view this collective personality as a single person, that's a traumatized person who's only just beginning to heal. So just starting now.
Yes.
But since maybe the Good Friday Agreement, like I mean, what else could the Good Friday Agreement be other than this, like the contract that you start in therapy, or even just the establishment of a safer place? It's like, I don't know. There's it's crazy that 20 years on, the Good Friday Agreement's still up for debate on whether or not it was a good thing. Like, I think it was a start.
Do you know? I remember that they were voting. They were voting for peace, and I remember whenever the verdict came back, that 70%, over 70%, I'm getting goosebumps already, wanted peace. I cried because I was like, never before has that number agreed on anything.
Yeah.
Never before.
Yeah, that's true.
Has that many people said this is what, and I was like, thank you.
Yes.
So you cannot say the Good Friday Agreement was, I don't think anybody, they may feel disenfranchised, they may feel disillusioned, but I thought it was brilliant. But maybe other people thought that they sold out or they lost or they did. But there's another thing, right? I lived in England for a long time. I didn't get a sense that they gave a shit about us, to be honest.
Still doesn't feel like England really gives that much of a shit about Northern Ireland. I think they've been forced to in the last year. I mean, it had so many mixed feelings about that last general election last year, like, because it's kind of shitty that the DUP are in a sort of coalition with the Conservatives. But on the other hand, it's like, well, now we have to be taken seriously a little bit. Yes,
but it's not only England. I've been down south and I've met loads of people who live in the Republic.
Yeah.
I don't think they really give a shit about us.
No, we're kind of like they're in England and Ireland is sort of like, to them, I think Northern Ireland's this kind of weird incestuous cousin. And they see him at like Christmas and birthdays and they go, oh fuck, I'm going to have to talk to him again. Oh, and that's an election year. That's it's when they go, oh, I don't know.
But I love this country.
Yeah, I do too.
But
I think it's got so
different.
Much, it's got so much potential.
I love it.
It's incredible. Really.
I think people are hilarious.
Yeah.
I think that we have our own unique culture.
Yes.
There has been a lot of trauma, but I just love it. I think it's beautiful.
Yeah.
I think there's so much to look forward to, but we've still, like, if you think about it in therapeutic terms, we've still got cognitive distortion.
Oh yeah, completely. It definitely punches above its weight artistically. Like I suppose a lot of traumatized people. Going back to the country as a single person. It's interesting that people in traumatized people often put themselves in similar situations and sort of repetition compulsion, I think Freud called it, where you would kind of put yourself in situations where it's kind of likely to happen again, so that you feel like you're gaining a sense of mastery over it. And of course, often the trauma prevents you from fully gaining a sense of mastery over it, you know. So, I mean, look at every election. There's a repetition compulsion. Also, it's a country that's out of balance. Like, you said that 70% of people voted peace. I think that's so bizarre that nearly immediately after that, the 30% who didn't suddenly got put in government in charge and have been ever since. Like, how it's like they never really truly gave the Good Friday Agreement a chance.
But there was a lot of people, like, when you look at that, who really had, like, whatever you say about Ian Paisley, he gave a lot of very strong values. He budged.
He gave it a chance.
They all tried. They all tried. Now you can be critical or you can say whatever about what happened, but there have been considerably less. But there's nowhere near the same amount of murders or deaths or tragedies.
It's starting to heal. Things are getting better. It's not quite there yet. Like, safety's been established, but there's still in I guess in Jungian terms, a personality. In Jungian terms, any aspect of a personality has its shadow side, of course. So if you're a very good person, then there's a very bad person that you've buried inside of you to be that good person. And when you throw yourself out of balance by being this good person all the time, eventually the bad person is going to take over even for a moment, and it'll possess you for a while. So with Jung, it wasn't just always about being this good person. It was about being good but integrating the bad and being whole instead. And that says to me that after the Good Friday Agreements, suddenly we were thrown out of balance and the shadow side took over, it's possessed us, and it still kind of is to this day. Do you know what I mean?
But there's a lot of hope, yes, but then I would say, like, how do you heal if you don't think you have to heal?
Wow, yeah.
How do you feel?
No chance there.
Well, if you're traumatized, if you don't notice it. Because if you, like, to live in a, like, if you see, I can't even speak now. See, right, so soldiers go to war.
Yeah.
That's when the trauma happens. Right? So they're traumatized by war. but it's supposed PTSD is after.
Yeah, you get home.
The consequences are after. That's when they realise something's not right. That's when they think their thinking's distorted. Well, if you've got a whole nation and everybody thinks their distorted thinking's normal.
Yeah.
And nobody's willing to say, actually, they don't see the problem, so...
And the governmental system here is a Gordian knot, isn't it? Where every current problem is tied to another problem, and it goes in a circle, and it's incredibly hard to solve. So, like, obviously we have an imbalanced government because of imbalanced voting, and whenever that government is put in, there's procedures that are meant to ensure balance that we've actually found a way to create unbalance. So there's imbalanced voting in that people vote for parties they don't necessarily agree with because they would fight another party harder rather than cooperate. So you've got two parties encouraged to fight and they're put in charge. Nothing happens basically. And that's really just because part of the Good Friday Agreement is that the government would be mandatory coalition, so that the biggest nationalist party and the biggest unionist party have to work together. Now, something that was proposed 1 or 2 elections ago by, I think, Mike Nesbitt, who I actually liked, he would have been a good First Minister. He proposed a voluntary coalition that instead of basically forcing two parties who don't agree to get along, the government should only be formed by parties who are willing to get along.
Oh, whoa!
And
that's good.
Yes, like
that's progressive.
Yes, and I think if you could, if you made it that way, basically, then instead of forcing two parties together who are unwilling to govern, really, then you would get two parties who are really, really keen to be in power.
So it's basically like a job advertisement. Only reasonable people apply.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Only apply if you're going to be reasonable.
There's a campaign floated by a Facebook group called Assembly First, which I quite like the idea of, which is basically like Sinn Féin and the DP have had a year and a half to talk, and it's gone nowhere. So all the other parties are willing. Mm-hmm. Like, if you put all the other parties together, there's enough people to form government. Like, they should be in talks.
Yeah.
Like SDLP, UUP, Alliance, even like the TUV and the Nutters, basically, like, and the two Greens and a single PBP and all that stuff. Like, they could form a big super coalition. I don't know why it's not been taken that seriously. Perhaps it won't be.
Well, something needs to change, and they're actually making it very clear we don't need them.
Yeah, they have.
Which is unfortunate that they've decided to take that course of action. And then as time goes on, we're like, actually, it's been a pretty good couple of years.
But voters aren't willing to change their mind, even though they've seen how useless the two parties are. If you can even look as recently as yesterday, there was a by-election in West Tyrone, I think. Is it West Tyrone? I should know this, but I don't. Barry McElduff's MP seat. He was a Sinn Féin MP who left because he did that thing with the bread on his head. Which is ridiculous. Oh. I mean, fair enough that he's got. I just think the whole thing's ridiculous. So imagine explaining it to people if we aren't from here. But
we'll have to provide a link. No.
Yeah. Well, no, I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. But so he's gone, and the by-election was yesterday, and it was taken by someone. I haven't checked, but I'm pretty sure it was taken by someone from the same party, with a similar number of votes. Like, basically, he's hardly lost a vote. I mean, I didn't expect him to lose a vote because of the bread thing, but I thought maybe he would have lost some votes because, like, a year has passed with Sinn Féin not doing anything, and surely some of the voters would consider anybody else, like. But
right. So then comedy. That's why I find the comedy circuit. But no, I find the comedy circuit quite difficult for those. There's a lot of things. Like, I just find it too. I was away for a long time. I came back, and then I find some of the comedy. I was like, oh, we're still there.
Right. Yes. Some of it is. I think I think that had a place, and maybe still does. Like, so I said earlier that when I started, I didn't want to be like the Troubles guy.
Yeah.
And I still mostly feel like that. It's just that. So I guess Paddy Kilty was the originator of this. Patrick Kilty, of course, being Northern Ireland's like export stand-up comedian. in the same way that Carlsberg exports a beer. Sorry. It's exported from the cock of a camel, probably. Is piss, but no, he's a great comedian.
He's all right.
No, he's a fantastic comedian. I think I just wanted to try and be funny. But during the Troubles, his father got shot by, I think it was the UDA, was it, in Dundrum, and then he started a comedy club in the Empire and emceed it, and really made a name for himself by like donning a balaclava and doing a bit where he would do fake paramilitary like broadcasts, you know, and it was, I think it was maybe the start. It helped. I think it really did help. Like it laughing at our differences did make things better and bring people together somewhat. And even Freud said that like a joke is a defense mechanism. You joke about things that you're scared of, really deep down, like division and things like that. But then after the Good Friday Agreement and before the flag protests, it really seemed like things were fine now, and it seemed like it was perpetuating negative stereotypes. Yeah. But then, you know, after the flag protests, when I saw how real division still is for some on either side, I sort of thought, well, there's still aspects of it that need to be made fun of. I don't think on an individual level, I don't hear many people make fun of Catholics and Protestants on an individual level. I think they make fun of them at a governmental level, which is where they should be made fun of. Like you know, the DUP and Sinn Féin, they are, to me, should be targets of ridicule. Yeah. Like, because they're not doing a great job, and often they're not doing a great job in a way that is amusing. Like Jerry Kelly with bolt cutters, like freeing his car. That's great. That's farcical though. That's brilliant. It's hilarious. It's hilarious. Yeah. And some of the nonsense they come out with, like, and the incredible pettiness of people like Gregory Campbell. Northern Ireland is hilarious. Yes. But I don't find those jokes. I don't think Catholic. I find things like that. The people are batshit crazy. Yeah. That's why I find some people very funny. And that's why, you know, but I don't find that funny. I don't think I don't find a lot of those jokes funny, and that's one of the things I find quite depressing about the comedy scene. It seems to have quite mired in old ways, perhaps. It was just like, we're still there. I was shocked, I suppose, because I've been away for a long time. Also, another thing I found quite interesting was the only person who's ever asked my children if they're Catholic or Protestant, right, is a Lithuanian boy who went to the integrated. He went to the integrated primary school. Yeah. So that's the only person. So that makes me think, what are they teaching them in the integrated primary schools? Wow, yeah. Because Lily was like this here, what? Because we were in Brighton for years. It's not something we discuss. Right, it's not in her awareness. So she's like, what? She goes, I'm an atheist. Don't believe in God. And he's like, are you Catholic or Protestant? but he was trying to make sense of the world. Now, where did that come from? I don't know. I mean, I suppose in integrative schools they really sell the point that they're integrated, don't they? And to do that they have to talk about conflict and well, not conflict, but they have to talk about, they have to make a point about division to talk about how they've been brought together in the first place. So perhaps that's my... Yes, but then what's the problem there? Well, they're still being taught it, aren't they? Yes. Like, they're being educated. When I was in P7, I didn't know if I was a Catholic or Protestant. But I mean, I went to a place called St. Joseph's, so maybe it should have been obvious to me. But, like the priest is giving me a blessing, and I'm like, is this a Catholic blessing or but I love it. But no, it never occurred to me. But I think for some reason on the last year we had a Protestant guy in the school. I don't know, maybe they were trying to relax their guidelines a bit or something. So in P7 there was a guy called James who joined our school, and he was Protestant, and one of the kids in my class said to me, here, James is a Hun, and I didn't know what he meant, but I was like, oh right, okay. And right, that year I'd seen Mulan, and so to me a Hun was like Genghis Khan, like Attila, like I was like, better watch out for James, he's a Mongol warlord, like better watch him around his fair, you know. But that's great. Yeah. That innocence, that naivety, and that tells me that in your home, your family life, it just was not a thing. Yeah. Well, and this is the role of jokes, in that it was something that was just ridiculous, I think, to my parents. Like, there would be the bonfire every year, and there would be like effigies. There's always effigies. If that's the thing that I take quite seriously. Like, if you want to defend bonfires, absolutely, but you can't defend bonfires when you're putting effigies of the other side on it. Like,
no,
that is not making a good case for anybody. You can't say it's a part of your culture to like wish death on the other side. It's anyway, but there would be effigies and stuff, and I'd be like, who's that? And my parents would be like, oh, just some guy, who cares? Like, it's just a stupid thing to do.
Ah, dear. I'm just aware of time.
Oh, yes.
So that's like, that was, if you want to watch, or no, you want to listen to Therapy Geeks, you need to find it. It's on Soundcloud.
Yeah, we'll post it underneath this, I guess. Should we do that?
Yeah.
Do you have a Facebook page for this?
Yeah.
Oh, of course, you should.
And also, your comedy night, Monday night.
Oh, yes, Monday night comedy at the Pavilion. It's every Monday until I die. So it's, I don't know, should we talk about that a little, or how much time have we got?
Well, it's usually about 30 minutes.
Oh, shit, okay.
But we can interview another time.
We'll talk about the scene.
So we think we need a revolution.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, good. See you. Thank you very much.
Bye.